Track Wrestling here at the National Wrestling Hall of Fame Dan Gable Museum with Arizona State coach Zeke Jones, here to celebrate your college coach, Bobby Douglas. Let's start with him. In what ways did Bobby help shape you the most?
Oh, Bobby was a leader, a mentor, guided me, coached me, parented me, cared for me, loved me, kicked me in the butt, right, like any great coach did. He influenced me perhaps more than any human in my life other than my parents.
What do you take with you today that you still use with the Sun Devils?
Well, I mean, it's not a system that I've created. It's a system that I came through, right? It started with Ernie Gillum wrestling at Iowa State in 1965 on a national championship team, and then it was Johnny Jones, a 1976 national championship team at Iowa State, being molded as a young man by them, but then ultimately going to Bobby Douglas, where we were able to win a national championship in '88 and spend our time through not only college but the Olympic years, and he taught me everything I know.
How much did you get on the mat and maybe scrap with him a little bit there?
Yeah, well, you know, he was, I don't know, calling me, he was 40 years old and I was 20, but I never got to go on top. He always put me down. He rode me to death. I never got a chance to shoot on his legs because he wouldn't let me, but I was able to roll around with him a lot and learn a lot.
With that '88 team, what made that group special? What enabled that group to win a national title?
Well, it started with great leadership by Bobby Douglas and Joe Gonzalez. I mean, they really gave us the opportunity to get in position to win a championship. It took guys like Mike Davies, John Ginther, Chip Park, Jimmy Gressley, Tom Ortiz, right? The list goes on and on of the guys that put us in that position to be able to do it. But it was special. They were close, they cared about each other, and Bobby assembled a group of men that were motivated to be the best in the country.
This group you got coming that hits the mat this year for the Sun Devils, you got a group of guys that have veterans, Zahid Valencia, a couple-time national champion. Then you got some young guys that I think you guys are pretty high on. What do you like about this squad?
Well, I think it's got a great blend of experience and youth, like you said. You got leadership from Shields and Tanner Hall and Anthony and Zahid. You got a young group, Ramo, Klebo, Munoz, and of course Cohlton Schultz, that are excited about what they can do this year. The goal is high, right? I mean, the goal is to win a national championship. They are doing everything they can humanly possibly do to do that. And I like the chemistry. I like where they're at right now.
You mentioned Zahid obviously has Olympic aspirations in 2020. How do you balance that with the college season? And you got a quick turnaround there before state college, right after the NCAA championships.
Yeah, it's you know, it's a modified schedule, right? There'll be some folk style, there'll be some freestyle. You know, he'll be on a modified schedule, as well as any of our guys that are moving down that path, Anthony, Shields, Tanner. But, you know, Zahid has got, he's gotten a place where, you know, he obviously knows he can do it. He's got to put the work in. He's got to continue to get better technically. He's got to continue to do the work that he's doing. But I tell you, he's a guy, if he has the right frame of mind going into the tournament, has the preparation, there's no doubt he can make the team.
What were the biggest takeaways from this freestyle season for him?
I think he's growing into the weight class, 86 kilos, and so it's first his body changing and adapting. I think that's part of it. I think it's also, too, just getting back on the national team schedule, which is learning how to travel, how to eat, going overseas, right? It's more than just being the best guy. It's doing all the things leading up to it and getting used to the time change and the things that you have no control over, but you still have to perform. So I think he's adjusting into that new lifestyle, because really he's only got 4 months of folk style left, right? He's a freestyle guy that has 4 months of folk style left.
How did the redshirt year benefit Anthony Valencia?
Oh, it was great for him and Tanner Hall both too. Just continue to focus on getting better, maturing a lot, particularly Anthony and his mental outlook on his performance. You know, wrestling doesn't define Anthony, right? Wrestling's a part of Anthony, but I think he's also realizing that, you know, his goals are important. He needs to continue to improve technically, and I think, you know, I just like where he's at right now mentally.
What have you learned about Cohlton Schultz in the first few months on campus and maybe you didn't know about him prior to?
Man, he's a better athlete than I thought, and he can attack the legs. So we don't want him shooting too much, right? Because we want to see him on that Greco team. But he really is really good in folk style.
What do the next several months look like for him from a training standpoint, from a competition standpoint?
He's going to be on a modified schedule too, but he'll be focusing on Greco.
Okay. All right. Hey, thanks so much, Zeke.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.